We're back with episode 1. Today we're doing some career missions. After a long hiatus due to technical difficulties, we're going to get started on uh, doing some of the career missions for the Soldier of Fortune mission track. And one thing that I noticed when I logged in to get started was that my skill queue had gone to nothing. So as you can see here, I'm adding skills to the skill queue based on some recommended skills from each of the skill queues. Now, you can purchase many of the skills that you might want to train directly from the skill catalog. But you can also purchase skills by buying the skill books and then taking those and injecting them. Usually it is cheaper to buy the skill books and then inject them. But in order to get all the skill books that you need, you might have to travel around a bit as opposed to being able to buy them directly. Now, if you're wondering what to train at the beginning, there's almost no wrong answers for that. Um, it is mostly just important to start training because you should always be training. And you can always change what you're training if you don't like what you've picked out to train. It's pretty easy. Each of the career tracks, the Soldier of Fortune, Enforcer, Explorer, and Industrialist, each have skill plans that you can train, and there's one specific to each Empire faction that you can choose. So go ahead and pick skills from any of those depending on what your interest is. And put as many skills in the skill queue as possible. You'll notice that I put in skills and organize them by 1s, 2s, 3s, just so that I can train many things faster. It's much easier to train all the 1s, and then the 2s, and then the 3s, and it unlocks things faster for me. That's generally what I recommend for new players, and that's how I'm doing it in this Learn to Play. Unlike many other MMOs, you don't get XP from killing things or running missions. In EVE, you earn skill points over time, regardless of what activity you're doing. So you get skill points whether you're playing or not. It's all tied to real time. So you're slowly accumulating skill points here, and yeah. Now you may have seen it on the screen, maybe you didn't. But when you're running missions, you can find what missions are available nearby in the Opportunities tab. And if you have a mission active, you can track it by clicking the little eye icon. Um, and then once you're tracking it, it'll usually give you like the destination where you're supposed to go. These career missions are pretty simple, pretty basic. They're meant to introduce you to the mechanics of the game. I am going through this really quickly, right? I'm not stopping to read all the different mission briefs because if that's something that you want to do, I want to save that for you to enjoy. Now, they may not be the most exciting gameplay, but they do give you a jump start on completing the Air Career Program, which the Air Career Program gives you all kinds of rewards for doing different things throughout EVE. It's intended to try and get you to try new things. It'll give you things like money, items, and most importantly, it'll give you skill points. Now, do be careful when you're doing these missions because some missions have specific instructions about what they want you to do. For example, that one that I just finished there with the hostages, if you attack the red NPCs, you will fail the mission. because you're supposed to save the hostages without getting into a fight. So um, once you get further along, failing a mission can mean you lose your ship. You might just blow up. You might get overwhelmed by enemies. Um, and this is also why you should follow the number one oldest and truest rule in Eve, the most universal: only fly what you can afford to lose. No matter how cool your ship is, uh, be prepared to lose it. It is not a question of if, it is a question of when. You will lose your ship eventually, so try not to get too attached to one specific ship. Make sure that you can afford to replace it. If you lose it, try not to fly something that is so expensive that you can't replace it, right? And you can find a guide to this mission and every other mission, especially the career missions, um, on Eve University's wiki page, which is super helpful and is maintained for the benefit of all players of Eve. So check that out. Now, another thing about missions and something that makes it worth it to do career missions is that you get standings. Throughout New Eden, which is the universe that you're playing in, um, there are a bunch of different NPC corporations and representatives of those corporations, and um, they are you can get standings for each of them. Now you just saw this, and I kind of got wordy there about standings. I will have more notes on each of these things that I'm going to share a link to the class notes in the description of this video. But one thing that just came up was downtime, and downtime is what it sounds like every day uh, at 11 Eve for approximately 5 to 10 minutes. The servers go down. You'll see a warning notice start about an hour beforehand and continue until the server shuts down. It is a good idea to get used to hearing the time expressed in terms of the server time, often just said as Eve time. Eve time is the time in Iceland, which also happens to be UTC. Also, I breezed past it really fast there. But if you are a new or returning player that has not used a recruitment link to become someone's recruit, you can become my recruit and get 1,000,000 skill points. And I'll have a link in the description for that. Um, you'll see it. But all right, so now that we lost a ship due to the fact that my Corvette is a little too squishy, to complete this last mission in the Soldier of Fortune career missions, we're going to fit up a Rifter, which is a frigate, and it's like the first ship that you get, basically. Um, Slightly bigger than a Corvette, stronger too. Um, Now, if I had done the Enforcer missions first, um, I probably would have been given a Rifter, but it's fine. It's fine. Um, Eve University recommends doing the exploration career missions first, then doing Enforcer, then Soldier of the Fortune, and then doing the Industrialist missions. So we're going to talk about fitting more in depth outside of the career missions because this is not a good place or time to really go in depth. But I just wanted to show, just to explain a few of the basics of what you're seeing when you are fitting up a ship using the fitting window. You can click on that little icon that's like an outline of your ship, and it'll let you simulate, which brings up a holographic uh, version of your ship. And from there, you can test out different fittings of modules to put on your ship. we'll need to switch back to the actual ship to be able to like fit up everything, but that's fine. You'll notice that as I'm buying modules for the ship, there are three icons under the names of the modules. Those three icons are one that looks like a piece of paper, which represents skills. The other is like a molecule or an atom, something like that, and that is the power. And then there's one that looks like a computer chip, which represents CPU. When each of those icons is bright teal blue, that means you have the power necessary. Um, you have the skills, power, and CPU necessary in your current ship for that module. If you are missing one of those three things, the respective icon will be grayed out. Now, one downside to flying a real ship, right, is that I have to buy ammo, as you see here. And buying ammo is a real pain in the tuchus. But anyways, now you'll notice. Remember how I said that in the character creation episode, episode 0, that each empire ships usually use one kind of tank. Well, Minotaur uses shield for the most part, so we're going to fit up this rifter with some shield tank. We're also giving it a damage control, which is really, really handy. Um, so just to break it down, we're using a shield extender to give the rifter a bit more HP. We're also using a multi-spectrum shield hardener to increase its resistance to all kinds of damage. And I'm throwing a damage control on there that will give an equal split of damage resistance to each type of damage: EM, thermal, kinetic, and explosive, and it gives bonuses to shield, armor, and hull resistance. So it's a pretty broad spectrum thing that I highly recommend you put on a bunch of your ships. Most ships should probably have a damage control on there, but for now, we're just gonna finish. Um, Yay! We beat the bad guy for this one, and now we're going to go. Now we're going to go complete this mission, and that is 10 of 10 on the Enforcer Career Agent missions. Hooray! We did it! Yay! So, now that we're done with that, we're basically just going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching, and if you have questions, you can leave those as comments on this video. Um, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay updated as um, as we go along. Thank you, and fly dangerously, folks.